How's it going, everybody? My name is John, and Merry Christmas to all. I mentioned in the last video that it could be my last time talking to you guys before the holiday, but there has been an absolute plethora of news stories that need to be addressed that have happened in the last couple of days. So without further ado, the first thing I wanted to talk about is the Epstein files being released. And the reason why I put the quotation marks around released is that there's been over 100 pages of redactions that have come with this Epstein files release. And let me just say, I am extremely disappointed in the Trump administration and his DOJ for not being 100% transparent. And they are technically breaking the law by not releasing these files fully. If you guys don't know, the Epstein files, or I believe it's called the Epstein Transparency Act or something like that, was a law introduced by Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna. So it's a bipartisan bill introduced by a Republican and a Democrat. And it's a bipartisan bill that I happen to agree with, that stated within 30 days of the bill being signed, which I believe it was signed on November 19th, that all Epstein files needed to be released and no information that isn't directly victims' names or anyone who could be harmed needs to be released without redactions. And that gets into my point as to why the Trump administration, in particular Trump's DOJ, Pam Bondi, is breaking the law by not releasing the Epstein files, because the deadline was December 19th. Well, at the time of me recording, it's December 22nd, and the Epstein files have still not been released fully without this plethora of redactions. And the files that we have seen released, we have a lot of photos of Bill Clinton that don't look good. There's some photos I've been seeing around of Michael Jackson, Oprah Winfrey, and a bunch of other people being implicated in the Epstein files. And let me ask you guys a question as well. Why hasn't Bill Clinton been arrested for his involvement with these Epstein files? It's insane to me that, and it once again proves that both sides are in on this shit together. They're both playing cover and playing coy for each other. Why do you think? Apparently Trump's in the Epstein files. I believe Trump's in the Epstein files. Allegedly, he's in the Epstein files. We haven't seen anything with him in it be really released yet from the Epstein files, which, I don't know, maybe that has something to do with the fact that it's his DOJ that's releasing them. But Obama and Trump are laughing it up, allegedly, after Trump is in the Epstein files and has done these heinous acts. Hillary Clinton was Obama's Secretary of State during his administration. All of these people are way too close together. In my opinion, everyone's guilty. Everyone needs to be investigated, and the files need to be released fully. I actually will give Bill Clinton a compliment. Believe it or not, there's a compliment I have to send Bill Clinton's way. And that's because his spokesperson recently came out and said, I want all the files released with 100% transparency. Maybe Bill Clinton and his people feel the balls to do this because Bill Clinton is so old at this point that nothing would happen to him. And all these files have already been released with photos of him in the hot tub with these women and photos of him with Epstein. And we know he was on the flights and all sorts of stuff. And he hasn't been arrested. Why is that? And you would think Trump is a Republican. The Republicans are the ones that are in office. It's a Republican DOJ. They can have a Democrat victory by arresting Bill, or not a Democrat victory. They can have a Republican victory and a big talking point by arresting Bill Clinton. Look, we arrested this top tier former Democratic president for being in these files and being involved in the most heinous actions you can imagine. But despite that, we haven't seen any arrests. And recently, Jimmy Kimmel asked Kamala Harris why the Epstein files were not released under her and Biden's administration. And I want you guys to listen to her explanation.
Didn't the Biden administration release those files? Was that something that they felt would look bad while they're running against this guy? Or why didn't they come out during your administration?
To give you an answer that will not satisfy your curiosity, I will tell you, we, perhaps to our damage, but we strongly and rightly believed that there should be an absolute separation between what we wanted as an administration and what the Department of Justice did. We absolutely adhered to that, and it was right to do that. the Justice Department would make its decisions independent of any political or personal vendetta or concern that we may have. And that's the way it worked.
All right, we're going to take a break.
I do not find that statement acceptable at all. And no matter what side of the political spectrum you're on, no matter who you vote for, you should not find that answer acceptable at all. And I'm going to explain why. In particular, Democrats should not find that answer acceptable. Right now, people are really on Trump for him and his DOJ not being 100% transparent and releasing the Epstein files. Kamala's answer makes sense on paper, but if you really start to think about it, it makes no sense. She says she didn't want to influence the DOJ. She didn't want it to be politically motivated. First of all, why is releasing these files relating to those heinous actions, so heinous that I can't even say them on YouTube, why is that like a politically motivated issue? I was just editing the video and I can't believe I forgot to mention this. Another reason why I don't trust Kamala Harris or the Democrats in relation to these Epstein files is we've known for years that Bill Clinton was likely in these Epstein files. You'll never believe who gave a headlining speech at the DNC in 2024. And guess who Bill Clinton endorsed when he gave that headlining speech? Kamala Harris. These people are all too closely connected. I don't trust any of them. But the reason why this is in particular a really shitty talking point for the Democrats, Harris's statement of saying, oh, well, we didn't want to interfere with the DOJ. We wanted them to act independently. Well, if that's the case, then you can't blame Trump for his DOJ not releasing the Epstein files. Well, I do blame Trump for not forcing his DOJ to be 100% transparent, the same way I blame Joe Biden and Kamala Harris for not pushing their DOJ to release these files and be transparent with the American people. I called it a few months ago that even if they release all the files, even if they released every single file completely unredacted, at this point, why do you think they've waited so long? Why did they have that 30-day waiting period? Why did they wait until the very last day to release anything at all, even with these redacted versions? Because they're going to edit them. They're going to change things. I know that they're not legally allowed to do that, and I can't say for sure that they did do that, allegedly. I think that they edited these. No matter what political party is in charge, no matter who's in charge, no matter what the situation is, we were never going to get these Epstein files. And that's really, really sad because at the end of the day, people are saying that the Republicans are protecting minor attracted people. You guys know the word that I'm also not allowed to say on YouTube, trying to get this video actually seen by you guys. But in reality, it's both political parties. And that's why I think we need a third party, because both of these parties are way too wrapped up in this Epstein case. I don't trust anybody. Like I mentioned before, and people are saying, oh, well, guess who isn't in the files? Kamala Harris. Well, Joe Biden was Obama's VP. Obama's Secretary of State was Hillary Clinton. Who's Hillary Clinton married to? Bill Clinton, who's in the Epstein files. I don't trust any of these people. We need a completely new set of politicians at the very least. And what I actually want is a brand new political party that's riddance of all these allegations. I wouldn't even call them allegations. All these heinous actions that they've definitely committed on both sides. It's absolutely ridiculous. The second story I wanted to talk about is AMFest, the little conservative meetup that they're having, which is held by Turning Point USA. And in 2025, there's been a lot of stuff going on. In particular, you had Ben Shapiro in a speech calling out other conservatives like Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens for being anti-Semitic, basically, and platforming people like Nick Fuentes. And I don't agree with Nick Fuentes on a lot. I don't like him at all. I do think that he's a Fed, as Elon Musk alleged. But at the end of the day, what I find funny about AMFest is that it's just a bunch of conservatives fighting each other. At the end of the day, the left is the opposition from all of these people. They're the ones with the major policy disagreements. They're the ones who disagree on transgender issues, economic issues, the border. They're the ones who disagree. But despite this, we have idiots. I call him a cancer. Steve Bannon went up on AMFest and called Ben Shapiro a cancer to the conservative movement. And I agree. Conservatives like Ben Shapiro are a big reason why I don't identify with the conservative or Republican side anymore, because it seems like their loyalty is more slated to Israel. You can agree with Ben Shapiro on every issue besides Israel, but if you disagree on Israel, you're the worst. He's trying to expedite you from the party. And then you have Megyn Kelly, who asked a really good question. Who gave Ben Shapiro the right to decide who's in and not in this conservative movement? It's absolutely ridiculous. I liked Candace Owens' response of saying, Ben, nobody likes you. Nobody likes you. And I agree with Candace. Who actually likes Ben Shapiro? Any Ben Shapiro fans here? Leave yourselves in the comments below. Oust yourself. Explain why you're a fan of Ben Shapiro. And, well, I already know that there's none of you. So AMFest has been an absolutely terrible thing that is happening, because at the end of the day, I do think the conservatives are better for America than the Democrats. Trump, there's a lot of things about Trump I don't like. I don't like his unwielding support to Israel. I don't like the fact that he makes idiotic statements like he did about Rob Reiner the other day. I believe these are self-sabotaging statements that ruin his credibility. And I don't want somebody who talks like that as my president. Does that mean that I want Joe Biden as my president? Hell no. I don't want Gavin Newsom as my next president either. If Gavin Newsom's the next president, I genuinely might move away from America. Genuinely. That's a warning now. Because I guarantee you right now, if somebody like Gavin Newsom is the next president, if I say that I don't believe that a child should become transgender, or if I don't believe that migrants should be allowed into the country at a mass rate, people will say I'm racist or that I'm transphobic, homophobic, all these slurs, and they will brand it as harassment. If I don't decide to call non-binary people, I say that with quotations because I don't believe that anybody is non-binary. And then I'll have some person in the comments that says, well, actually, there's a rare percentage of people that are born with both genitalia. Well, I'm not talking about those people. Maybe those people are non-binary. I'm not here to argue. I'm not a scientist. But if you're a man born with male body parts, you're not non-binary and you cannot be. If you're a woman and you're born with female body parts, you are not non-binary and you cannot be. They will say that that's harassment, that that's hate speech, that I'm causing distress and anxiety for not identifying these people by their pronouns, and this channel will get taken down. That's my call right now. If Gavin Newsom is the next president, even me, and you guys know I'm not afraid to call out Trump. I was not afraid to call him out on that stupid flag burning law that passed before. I don't think anyone should burn the American flag, but you should not make it illegal to burn the American flag. If you're doing it to incite, okay, sure, that should be a crime. If you're actually trying to genuinely incite violence and you make direct threats, okay, maybe that's a crime. But if you're burning it in some form of protest, that is not a crime. And I wasn't afraid to call that out. I wasn't afraid to call out Trump's idiotic statements about Rob Reiner in the last video. I'm not afraid to call out Trump and the Republicans. I am a centrist, or I wouldn't necessarily say a centrist, but I'm independent of both of these trash political parties. Despite that, just because I don't agree with every piece of Democrat ideology, including a lot of laws that Gavin Newsom has passed in California, like the transgender sanctuary state law, they will deplatform me. I hate that that's even a conversation of deplatforming somebody. My personal belief is that if nobody is making direct threats to another group of individuals or another individual, they should be platformed, no matter how radical the ideas are. For example, there's a lot of people that I disagree with who are radically left or radically right. There's a lot of people who make abysmal statements. But despite that, I believe they should be platformed because you should allow every single idea to enter discourse. And when you do that, the best ideas, the ones that make the most sense, the ones that are common sense, will prevail no matter what. They'll prevail if you allow everybody to combat. But the minute you start deplatforming, you give them a reason for opposition. Why don't you want us to hear these ideas? You know, people start asking questions and that can push them to more radical beliefs. This goes right and left. So everyone should be platformed. And my call is if Gavin Newsom's the next president, I will be deplatformed. I do have something positive to say about Trump and his administration, though. I know, whoa, but I do have something positive to say about Trump and his administration. Recently, they moved marijuana from a Schedule 1 drug, which is the same thing that heroin and meth and major, highly addictive drugs are on. They rescheduled it from a Schedule 1 to a Schedule 3. And I think that's marvelous. And even as a Schedule 3, that makes it on the same level as Xanax, for example. I don't think marijuana is nearly as addictive or as harmful or has caused as much family turmoil as something like Xanax does. But this is definitely a step in the right direction. Weed should be legal federally. It shouldn't be demonized the way that it is, because you have alcohol, which has undoubtedly caused way more issues. People commit just as many DUIs under alcohol as they do under marijuana. But despite that, we still have the government trying to demonize marijuana. And I know there's a lot of states, including my state of Michigan, that have taken steps to legalize it. It's legal recreationally in Michigan. But the fact that it's not legal recreationally in the country, but you could go up to the corner store and buy alcohol is ridiculous. You could still buy cigarettes and alcohol, and it will be perfectly okay, even though cigarettes are proven to cause lung cancer and have major health effects, and alcohol also has major negative health effects, as well as causing family problems that I have experienced firsthand. Despite that, marijuana is demonized for some reason. And my reason is, if everybody was smoking weed, I think society would be a much better and chill place. I have quit smoking weed. I don't smoke myself anymore, but I never had a problem when I was smoking weed. There was never like an addiction problem. I never got into a fight with my family. I never had any major negative health effects from it. But nevertheless, it's demonized on a federal level. Schedule 3, a little bit better than it being a Schedule 1, because obviously marijuana doesn't equal heroin and they are not the same thing at all. But like I said before, I don't think marijuana equals Xanax either. I don't think it's nearly as addictive, nearly as much of a problem. And honestly, I think there should be stricter regiments and requirements and regulations on alcohol than marijuana. Name one thing besides, like, obviously smoking anything is bad for you. So smoking weed can still cause lung cancer. It's important that anyone who's pro-weed still acknowledge that. But despite that, name one thing that alcohol could be considered better than weed. Why is it so socially acceptable for alcohol, but not socially acceptable for weed? And I'm not saying that people should be able to just smoke it on the streets. The same way you're not allowed to be publicly intoxicated, there's a lot of people who don't like the smell of weed. It makes them sick. I know these people firsthand. There's people like that in my family. That's fine. I don't think that people should be able to just like go to the mall and smoke a joint right in front of a bunch of kids, because people have their free will and free right to choose. But the idea that in some states in 2025, almost 2026, it is still illegal to smoke marijuana within the confines of your own home on your own private property is absolutely ridiculous. So I applaud the Trump administration for taking this step in the right direction, but it's not nearly enough. We need to go a lot further than making it a Schedule 3. The last story that I want to address today is Ice Spice showing up to a premiere for the new SpongeBob movie wearing a see-through outfit. It's literally so see-through that I don't know if I'm going to show it on this channel, or if I do, it's going to be censored, because you can quite literally see her thong through her outfit. And that would be fine if she was doing a premiere for a movie that was rated R or something like that, where it's only going to be adults that are allowed to see the movie or are interested in the movie. Or if there is children that see it, they're only allowed to see it with parental approval. But this is for SpongeBob SquarePants, a cartoon that airs on Nickelodeon. I understand that there's adult fans of SpongeBob out there. I'm an adult and I love SpongeBob. The thing has literally been on the air longer than I've been alive, and I'm born 24 years ago. So I know that there's adult fans of SpongeBob out there, but I think we can all agree that Ice Spice wearing this type of outfit to the premiere of a children's movie is completely inappropriate, and it's absolutely ridiculous. And I'm thankful that people have been calling this out, because we're talking about Epstein, and this is the main thing that's going on in politics right now, is talking about the Epstein files. I think that Ice Spice wearing these types of outfits and SpongeBob in general allowing somebody like Ice Spice to be in the movie is promoting this sexuality to children at a younger age. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't think that children should be sexualized. If you go on YouTube Kids, and I know because I did this for myself, I downloaded YouTube Kids specifically for this experiment. YouTube Kids allows you to pick the age that your child is. I think the first one's like 1 to 5, and then like 5 to 9, and then 9 to 12. If you set YouTube Kids to 9 to 12 and you look up Ice Spice, none of her songs are available to watch on YouTube Kids. Why is that? Because Ice Spice isn't for kids, but despite that, you still have Nickelodeon or whoever the fuck owns SpongeBob these days putting her, a female rapper where her primary skill is twerking and dressing like a whore as she did at this premiere. You're putting her in a children's movie. Why is that? If 9 to the way YouTube Kids describes 9 to 12-year-olds is that they're developing independence. Despite that, you still don't see Ice Spice on YouTube Kids. You can't find a single one of her music videos on YouTube Kids. Not one. And this is, to me, an overlying problem. And this is part of the reason why I don't like Sabrina Carpenter. Because Sabrina Carpenter was originally on Disney Channel, starring in shows like Girl Meets World. So a lot of her fans are children. Despite that, you still have her going on stage where parents are not going to be 100% aware. Imagine if you're a parent and you're not aware of the Juno trend on TikTok. And you're just not aware of it. If you guys don't know what the Juno trend is, I talked about it in a previous video, but it's this thing that Ice Spice does, or not Ice Spice, sorry. They're too similar. I can't draw the distinctions. If you see Sabrina Carpenter doing this Juno trend, it's her saying, have you ever tried it this way? And then she does some sexual position. The most famous one, and the one that I seen on social media that really blew up, was her bending down and having a guy at her back end and a guy at her front end, basically implying that she's getting double penetrated or hit from both sides. There are children at these shows. Why are we exposing these sexualized ideas to children? I don't understand it. And to me, it's a part of the media's plan to basically sexualize children. You've been hearing the term minor attracted people being used for the term. To me, nobody should ever use that term. It's not the same as being gay, for example, where people just can't help what they're into. I think that the media is trying to condition people to be okay with child exploitation. And it makes me absolutely sick, especially in these holiday times. The SpongeBob movie comes out on Christmas. Who's going to see it? And the music video that they released for Ice Spice on SpongeBob, she's wearing a one-piece bikini where you can see all sorts of side boob and stuff like that. Dramatic defense that I've seen for people online justifying Ice Spice at the SpongeBob premiere, or justifying putting her in the movie as well. SpongeBob's never been afraid of making sexual references before. Like, that's a famous thing, like SpongeBob saying don't drop the soap in that one episode, or the fact that Sandy wears a bikini. Sandy wears a bikini, but she's a squirrel. She's a squirrel. She's not a human being. And I just don't understand how people can draw these comparisons. The don't drop the soap joke, I never understood that as a kid. I never knew that that was something that is basically a prison joke. I never knew that. These are subtle things. People will say, oh, well, there's the episode of SpongeBob where they show Patrick's ass cheeks. Do you think a kid seeing a butt and going, ha ha, butt, like in Despicable Me when they talk about the butt, or in Finding Nemo when they call the boat a butt, is the same as having a whore female rapper dress half naked at the premiere for the movie, or for that in the music video for the song in the movie? It's absolutely ridiculous. I don't know how anyone can defend it. And to me, I don't know what to do with society anymore. I feel like we're going in a very dark direction in terms of politicization and just media in general. But anyway, that's all I got for you guys today. Let me know what you think about the issues I addressed in the comments below. Thank God for the Red Wings. And if you don't agree with me, I got my message on my hat for you. You can kiss my ass. But anyway, I hope you all have a that was cringe. I hope you all have a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holiday, Happy New Year. And I will see you all in the next video. Peace out.